Okay, so today we're working on comparing positive and negative fractions and decimals again. So pretty similar concept as what we've been doing. Nothing's new. We're just going to be working a little bit more with horizontal number lines today. Did anybody get confused between the horizontal number lines and the vertical number lines? Or were we kind of okay with that? Yeah. Why do we? That's a really good question. I don't know if I have a great answer to that. We do know horizontal number lines because that's usually the way number lines are presented in math. Like when you have a textbook or something or a problem, it's almost always a horizontal number line. I'm guessing because of space. But vertical number lines, especially when we're talking about negatives, can be super helpful because we think of negatives as going down. And the application for negatives are sometimes like below sea level. Or things like that where we're comparing to a higher point. And so that's why a vertical number line can be helpful, particularly when we're talking about negatives, but pretty much the rest of the time, they're always horizontal. I thought Kylie was back today. Is she not back for math? She's not in the hall? Maybe she wasn't feeling well. That's fine. No? Okay. All right. Well, we're just going to get started then. All right. So horizontal number lines with your first slide they function in the same way as vertical number lines. The difference is that the numbers increase as you move from right to the right and decrease as you move to the left. So remember, we imagined that vertical number line that we had the other day, and we just mentally gave it a 90-degree turn and planted it like that. And that's our horizontal number line. It's not a hard concept. Whoops. So let's follow our little Singapore Sally and Singapore Sam right here. Singapore Sally jumps to the left 1/2 and ends up at -1/2. So do you see what we're doing right here? She started at 0. The amount that she jumps is just 1/2, and we're not working with units here right now, so it's a little bit wonky, but she just jumps 1/2 to the left, so she ends up at -1/2, right? Are you following me, you guys? McKinley, are you following me? Okay, good. All right, the equation for this would be 0 minus 1/2, and that would equal -1/2. Let me get these out of the way so you guys don't have to deal with. Okay, so that's what you're writing down on your notes there. Moving right along, the boy jumps to the right 1/4 and ends up at 1/4. And the equation for this is 0 plus 1/4 equals 1/4. This is stuff that you guys intuitively already understand. We're just learning how to write this. Is this in the box, Shafiq?
Well, I didn't get the last question.
You didn't get the last question. 0 minus 1/2 equals -1/2. You got it? Okay, awesome. All right, everybody with me? Yeah. All right, good. When we are comparing a positive number to a negative number, the positive is always, 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 always greater because it is farther to the right on the number line. So not a hard concept to understand, but when we're looking at numbers, like if we're comparing something like a positive 9/1000, right? Is that greater or less than -5? Sometimes when we're just looking at the numbers, it can get a little confusing because we look at that 5 and we're like, well, that's way bigger than 9/1000s. It's not if it's negative. Any positive is greater than a negative. So if we were to write that as an inequality, 1/4 is greater than -1/2. Okay, so you guys are writing this into your notes. 1/4 is greater than 1/2. Great. Awesome. Okay, moving right along. Comparing a negative number and a positive number. If both children were to start at 0 again, Uzziah? We do. I'm so glad you remembered that because on some of my slides, I don't have the parentheses. And when you guys progress in math, you'll find that the parentheses around negatives get dropped at a certain point, probably next year. But I like for you to use them because it helps you to see that that sign is attached to that number. You guys okay to see? Okay. If both children were to start at 0 again, and the girl jumped 1.5 to the left and the boy jumped 1/2 to the right, which number would be greater? First of all, where would the girl end up? So she's starting at 0, she's jumping 1.5 to the left. Where does she end up? Macy? -1/2? Negative, she jumped 1.5 to the left. No, not -1. Owen? Yeah, she would end up at -1.5. She'd end up like way over here. It's not even on our number line. And where would the boy end up? Where would the boy end up? Ashlyn Mason? He jumps 1/2 to the right. Where does he end up? 1/2. So whose number is greater? The boy's number or the girl's number? Lucy Cole? Yeah, he's got 1/2, and that's greater than -1 1/2. So let's go ahead and write that into an inequality, please. On that slide. Make sure you guys are sticking with me, okay? So we're not moving ahead. Okay. Did we all get that inequality?
Yes.
-1 1/2 is less than 1/2. All right, so on your notes, it says, can I read yours? It says, when comparing a positive number with a negative number, the what is always greater than the what? What should we fill in, you guys? Olive?
The positive number is greater.
Yep, go ahead and fill that in, please. So when comparing a positive to a negative, the positive is always greater than the negative. Good. All right, now are we all done with that? We're good? Okay, let's compare some negatives together. Comparing negatives to negatives. All right. Which is smaller? -1/2 or -1/4, and why? Can you guys still see the, you probably can't see the board if I'm perched there, huh? Which one is smaller? Landon? Yes, perfect. Can you tell me why it's smaller than -1/4? Oh, I love that answer. That's exactly what I would have wanted you to say. Yes, -1/2 is smaller because -1/4 is closer to 0. Nicely done. Thank you for that explanation. Okay. So let's write an inequality for that one. -1/2 is less than -4. Looks like that. Okay. You'll have that. Okay. If the girl jumps to the left, -1, and the boy jumps to the left, -1/2, which number is further away from 0? -1 or -1/2? What do you think, Tommy? Let's look at them. So the girl jumps -1 and the boy jumps -1/2 to here. Whoops. Which one of those numbers is farthest from 0?
-1.
-1, good. So then which one is smaller, -1 or -1/2?
-1/2.
No, it's -1 because -1/2 is closer to 0.
Oh,
So
smaller.
the one that is smaller is -1. But you know what? In your notes, so the way I phrased my question the opposite of what's in your notes. So maybe that's why you got confused, because it says which number is greater, and the answer would be -1/2 is greater than -1. So do we all have that inequality? Okay. All right. So when comparing two negative numbers, the number that is further from 0 is the what? What should we fill in there, Jace?
Smaller.
Is the smaller number. Good. Whoa, look at that. Okay, I need to erase all that, I guess. All right, good. Okay, we're going to take a short little break and we're going to learn a little bit about something called absolute value. Oh, I apologize. Actually, I have one more slide before we do that, don't I? Okay. Hang on just a second. Let me go ahead and fix the slide because it looks like I have writing on there from last year. So I need to erase that for you guys really quick. And here we go. All right. Which is smaller, -1 3/4 or -1 2/3? So think about which one is going to be farthest from 0. You got to think about that 2/3 versus 3/4. Go ahead and write an inequality in your notes there. And then raise your hand. Tell me how you wrote it. Then raise your hand once you're ready. Hey, Rajveer, which one is smaller?
-1 2/3.
Is -1 2/3 is smaller? Let's just compare really quick. Let's draw a bar model. I'm going to just draw a bar model of fourths and draw a bar model of thirds, okay? So that we can compare these fraction sizes. Because what did you just tell me that -1 2/3 was smaller, right? Okay. So here's 2/3. And I'm just going to say 1 plus, because you guys, we're not going to deal with the 1. And then here's 3/4. Now, when you look at those bar models, when you look at these bar models, Rajveer, 3/4 of a unit is a little bit bigger than 2/3 of a unit, isn't it? Okay, so therefore, which of those numbers do you think is going to be farther left? Like which will be farther from 0? Yeah, -1 3/4 will be farthest from 0. So that means what? Which number is smallest then? Keep going, Rajveer. 1 3/4 is smallest. Okay, so let's go ahead and write an inequality for that. Whoops, I don't want that. I want my pen back. There it is. All right, so tell me how to write it. How do I write this inequality? Michael?
1 3/4.
1 3/4?
Or sorry, -1 3/4
Okay.
is smaller than 1 2/3.
Yep, is less than -1 2/3. Could I write this inequality another way? Ashlyn? Exactly. -1 2/3 is greater than -1 3/4. Nice job. Okay, now we're going to take a little break and we're going to talk about something called absolute value. Okay. Absolute value. Oh, look at this. I have more coloring on my slides. The absolute value of a number is the distance the number is from 0 on the number line. This could be a little bit confusing, but we're going to talk about it now and we're going to talk about it again this year. The absolute value of a number is always greater than or equal to 0. So here's what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about the number -5 right here on my number line, how many steps from 0 is it, you guys? Yeah, it's 5 steps from 0. So my absolute value is 5. If I'm talking about the number 5 right here, the +5, how many steps from 0 is that, you guys? So my absolute value of 5 is 5. Are those the same? Okay, so this is how we show absolute value. These are kind of like special parentheses. They're just straight lines, but they mean something special. They're asking the question, what is the absolute value of a number? So if I ask you, if you see this on a page, the absolute value of -5, what would you tell me that answer is? The absolute value is 5. Okay, I'm going to let somebody else illustrate this for me really quick. So we're going to pause this. Hang on just a second. Okay. So the absolute value of -8 would be what? 8, because it's 8 steps from 0, right? All right. What is the absolute value of 9? What is the absolute value of -7? Okay. So what is the absolute, or what is the the solution to this problem. Okay. What's the absolute value of -3? What is the solution to this problem? The absolute value of -4 minus 3. I know. Okay. Oh, there are my animations. All right, you have 2 Toyos. Go ahead and do those. Now you've got to combine absolute value with algebra. Let's see how this goes. Guys, to go ahead and do the following Toyo that's on the board. If I can find there it is. Okay, the following 2 Toyos. Go ahead and add these to the bottom of your notes, please. You can just write them below your exit ticket.